Hi there, Machedo speaking to you from Machedo.com. Who's Machedo and Think Personal Branding? The date is, let me just get this setting. Okay, the date is, what's the date? 5th August 2018. Time right now is 10:32 in the night. Okay. I got this question from one of my members of my WhatsApp group. If you would like to join my WhatsApp group, it's the number is put before outro and intro and outro during my videos. So he's a member of my WhatsApp group, and he asked me this question, two questions actually. Number one is, why did I opt for surgery? Why did I take the easy way out or cheat, or especially given the fact that I was a guy who used to bodybuild, do cycling, do running, do swimming. I was a triathlete. Why did I opt for surgery when I could lose weight through exercise and hard work? So why did I cheat, basically? The second question that he asked me is, Lloyd, why did you opt for bypass surgery and not sleeve? I'll explain what is a bypass, what is a sleeve. Okay, so long story short, okay, I have always been a very active guy. Okay, I've been a very active guy who has been very active in doing exercise. All right, right from college days, right from the time I was, I think, even 14, 15. I used to always love running, love sports, love bodybuilding, showing my muscles. And that continued for a very long period of time. And at the same time, I also loved eating food, and I would eat like no one else's business. In fact, the restaurant where I would eat food, they loved me as a customer. Why? Because I would eat five people's the amount 5 people would eat, I would eat alone. And how I know this is because my bill was 5 times more. To give you an idea how much I would eat at a single meal, this is actually 5 Indian bread or parotas, a South Indian bread with lots of oil and all that, 2 big pieces of fried chicken, I think 1 large piece of fried fish, beef curry or mutton curry, then rice and dal and lentils. And apart from that, I would also have sweet. I would have 2-3 Red Bulls. So that was just one meal, and I would eat like 5 to 6 meals a day. I just love eating food, and I love doing exercise. So I was a super active, hyper guy. Added to that, I also was taking steroids later on during the later phase of my life because I wanted to grow bigger and stronger. So from a guy who was 50 kilos, who wanted to be big, I reached up to 100 kilos thanks to steroids, bodybuilding. I would literally eat 36 eggs a day. I'm not exaggerating, 36 eggs a day. Just keep hogging. So, which is not healthy. Okay. However, what happened is, just as you grow older, your priorities increase, your body doesn't recuperate the same way as before. You don't think of being in the gym 24/7. You can't keep pushing heavy weights because your joints, they just ache. And at some point, I could not push heavy weights anymore because my body couldn't handle it. The unfortunate thing is, I started to do lesser and lesser exercise because it started to get more and more painful. But my habit to eat food kept increasing. It would never decrease. And given the fact that I weaned myself out of steroids, so my testosterone started to decline. And testosterone is very important in burning fat, in maintaining muscle, in being strong. So that started to decrease, but my eating habits are still the same. And on top of that, my family had a history of diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol. Okay, so my family background had this DNA right in them, and most of my family members either have diabetes or blood pressure or cholesterol or all three. My mother has, my grandparents had. So as I started to get older, I would constantly make sure that I have these blood tests, and the doctor told me, your cholesterol is pretty high, your cholesterol is high. So I went into running, I went into marathon running, I went into cycling, swimming, and triathlon. However, what happened is, once I migrated from Dubai, which allowed me the comfort of training on tracks and running with groups and exercising with groups, when I came down here to Thailand, I didn't have any groups. The weather was very hot. I couldn't run long distances. because it's very dangerous on the roads. I couldn't swim. There's no place to swim which is safe. I couldn't cycle because it's again dangerous on the road. There are no groups here. The only place available is Muay Thai, which I'm not interested in. So, I just stopped. I just stopped because I had to focus on my business also. And then I got married and I started eating like crazy, and all Thai food has sugar in it. Any kind of food, sugar and spice. And it's all oily. So my weight just started to increase and increase and increase to the point I went to 120 kilos. So imagine, started off from my college days at 55 kilos, bodybuilding, increased the weight, stopped exercise, up, down, up, down, up, down. But I kept an active lifestyle, which was still okay. But then when I came down to Thailand, 2 years, totally stopped. And that's where my body just ballooned up. And what you need to understand is as you grow older, your joints don't support you anymore. My knees were weak, my lower back was weak, I was having breathing problems, and it became very hard to do exercise. And something which nobody knows is I had problems with hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids is when you go to the toilet, because the internal linings of your intestine are ruptured, when you shit, you actually lose blood. And I was losing tons of blood, and this was from past 20 years. Nobody knew this. So, and the problem with losing a lot of blood is your RBC, red blood count, decreases, because of which you can take less oxygen. So I didn't have the capacity to take in a lot of oxygen. I didn't have the testosterone to support me to recuperate fast. I couldn't run because I was really big and heavy and my joints were weak. So this was a recipe for disaster. So in all counts, I was not able to exercise. And plus the weather here is very hot or it's raining. And that's where you can't even do exercise outside. And plus my priorities changed. I had to focus on my business and brand. Exercise was not, priority. Making money was a priority. So given all these things, and given the fact that I have a history, my family has a history of diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, I asked myself, like, what can I do? Can I keep fighting this? It's like a yo-yo. You lose weight, you gain weight. You lose weight, you gain weight. And every year I was getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And that was putting a lot of pressure and stress to my system. My cholesterol was increasing rapidly. My blood pressure was increasing rapidly. I was in danger of being diabetic and it was nearly borderline. So that is where I started to do research as to what can I do? What can I do? How can I stop myself? Because remember, this weight gain is 85% is food. Is not, if you have to lose weight, it's 85% is your diet, is your food. And when everyone's eating shit and junk food, you can't, control. Self-control is overrated. So I started to do research, and that's where I found out about bariatric surgery. Bariatric surgery is, for those of you who do not know, it is gastric bypass surgery, is whereby what they do is they take your stomach and they cut. So if 100 is your capacity of your stomach, they cut it down to 20%, that is bypass, 20%, and they connect it directly to the small intestine. So they bypass from the stomach to the duodenal, the switch, which is part of the stomach, which absorbs, I'm sorry if I'm speaking wrong because too many things right now. So from the stomach, it goes to the tube that absorbs. And when you have a large stomach, you eat more, okay? So one is I wanted to shrink my stomach down to only 20%. The second thing is I obviously didn't want to eat sweets. I didn't want to eat oil because I wanted to stop that, okay? So I had a choice between bypass, that is bypassing the major part of the stomach and the intestine and going directly to the small intestine, which is a restrictive. Restrictive means you can eat less because my stomach is going to be small, and it's going to be malabsorptive. Malabsorptive means if you eat 100, it will not absorb 100, it will absorb maybe 40. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. So one is restrictive, means I can eat less. Second one, it will absorb also less. So this is gastric bypass. However, there was an improvement to the bypass surgery where instead of the whole stomach, they'll just cut and make it a tube and remove the excess part of the stomach out. I'll put a link below so you can see the videos. So I had a choice between bypass, that is make the stomach small, bypass major part of the tube and go directly to the small intestine, or just cut 80% of the stomach out and make it a tube. Okay. Bypass, the benefit of bypass is it is considered the gold standard. It is one of the oldest performed surgeries. Sleeve, the benefit is it is the latest. Bypass, the biggest drawback, bypass is you'll have to take vitamins and minerals for the rest of your life because it absorbs less. That is why if you see here, I have to take vitamins. This is vitamins. This is for increasing the blood count, and this one is for calcium. Okay, I'll have to take this for the rest of my life. While if I take a sleeve, I didn't have to do that. So why did I choose bypass over sleeve, even though sleeve was the latest? The reason I choose bypass is because one is bypass was the gold standard, as they say, is the oldest one. The second thing is the failure rate. Both of them, you lose weight more or less the same. But in sleeve, what happens is the chances of failure, because your stomach, even though it's made of tube, the stomach has this, the stomach is a muscle that, organ that kind of stretches over the period of time. And people tend to have this habit, because we are creatures of habit, whereby we eat and eventually the stomach starts expanding slowly. So what will happen is eventually you'll start putting on the pounds that you lost. And that was something I didn't want. And majority of people who went through sleeve, when it failed, they moved to bypass. Okay, so that was the only massive drawback of the sleeve. And also you need to understand is when we really want to do something as human beings, we somehow figure out the loophole. So even though you cannot eat as much as before, you still will try to munch on something or another and eventually gain weight. But bypass, on the other hand, the biggest drawback of bypass is there are a lot of complications which take place, and a lot of people, especially women, whom things can backfire. They lose their hair. Many of them, they go through serious complications. There can be leakage. It's because you're cutting a part of the stomach and then you're connecting a tube, which was, part of the system. You're going later on to the tube and connecting it to the stomach. So that is the risk. So after evaluating, I decided to go for the bypass and not the sleeve, because number one is it has a gold standard. Number two is because people from here, when it failed, they went here. So I didn't want two operations. And number three is I knew that given my habit of trying to find loopholes, I'm intelligent enough to find the loopholes, I would eventually go try to eat something or another, which is true. So that is why I chose bypass. Now, what has been my experience? Initially, after the operation, I couldn't eat. I just couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat. I didn't think of eating, and I didn't want to eat at all. In fact, I had to remind myself to eat. I had to remind myself to drink. Later on, I need you to just Google and check dumping syndrome. If you eat too fast, okay, just Google Machedo dumping syndrome. You'll see when I get an attack of eating too fast. If you eat too fast, or if you eat something that is rich in carbs or sweets, or carbs and sweets, there's a sudden rush because of the sweetness, the energy just goes up. The body can't handle it, and the body can't, especially when the stomach is small, the body cannot handle the absorption. So that's where you get severe pain, and your body goes for a toss, your energy levels, you get dizzy. It's mad. You need to see the video in order to believe what I'm talking about. And for 2 hours or 3 hours, I can't do work, I can't sit, I can't stand, I just lie down and withering in pain. So that's dumping syndrome. Now the funny thing is, even though I could not eat bread, I cannot eat rice, I find it very difficult. I cannot eat sweets, I cannot eat ice cream, I cannot eat chocolates. Even though I can't do all this, I've still figured out a way to eat all this. Okay. And there are times where my body just rejects and I go for a toss. So had I taken sleep, I think my body would somehow get used to it and go back to putting on weight. And I didn't want that. Okay. So that is why I took gastric bypass. Now, having said that, see, as I'm getting older, the threat of getting diabetes, blood pressure, obesity, and the complications of putting on more and more weight was very high. I didn't want to take that risk. The second thing is, once you get diabetic, once you have cholesterol or blood pressure, for your body to heal, it's very, very hard, especially when you damage your body or your health. The next one is, I didn't want to spend tons of money, effort, and energy into healing myself. So when my body was already healthy and could heal itself, I said, I'll go for the operation. So, then it's easier to heal itself. And when you're lighter, you feel much better. So that's the reason I took, and I didn't want to struggle with exercise, constantly doing exercise. Not that I'm not doing exercise. I'm doing exercise, but I'm not doing like 8 hours or 6 hours like before. I just do 15, 20 minutes. And I'm able to bring my weight down. Today, my weight from what it was 120 kgs, I'm 74, 75, which is, 33 kilos, massive amount of weight I lost. So you can imagine how much of extra fat was in my body. My body feels lighter. I feel more energetic. Yes, the only drawback, if you ask me, is if I play with my system, I eat the wrong thing at the wrong time, I am absolutely fucked. I'll tell you, absolutely, without a doubt, I'm fucked. The whole day goes mad. My energy levels keep fluctuating up and down. I still need to master that. I have to be very attentive about taking my medicine and my pills. I need to literally have reminders of what I'm supposed to have because I keep forgetting. And I'll be dependent on these pills for the rest of my life. The only other thing is, I cannot eat like before. I just cannot eat like, you have to relearn how to eat and relearn how to understand your body. So those are the drawbacks, I would say. But having said that, when I look back on my decision to get and have a surgery, I would say that was by far the best decision of my life. It's a lot more lesser hassle and lesser headache to keep fit. I don't have to worry about it that much. And I'm glad that, it's one lesser headache to face. So I can focus on my career, I can focus on relaxing, I can focus on family time and all other things, sort of dying hard in the gym. And yes, it feels great to know that I don't have to worry about diabetes, blood pressure, obesity, or any health complications related to eating a lot. Yes, it is very difficult to eat food. I have to constantly plan out what I'm going to eat. There are days where I can eat chocolate and the next day I cannot eat chocolate. There are days where I can eat ice cream. Next day, it's like if I eat ice cream, I get completely messed up. Sometimes I do eat too fast and then I get jacked. So yeah, there are ups and downs and it's a learning process. But having said that, I have no complaints. I'm absolutely happy I took the surgery. Do I recommend you to get a surgery? No, please don't. There's no standard. However, if you are overweight, seriously overweight, you've tried every exercise, you're unable to do exercise, you have hormonal problems, you have a history, your family has a history of diabetes, blood pressure, obesity, cholesterol, yes, then I would suggest, but without professional help, without consultation, please do not go for it. Do not trust doctors just blindly. I went through a reference of the person who I could trust with my life. He had given his mother, who was almost 80, 86 or 90, to this doctor, and he took care of her. So I knew that if the friend who I could trust gave his mother to this guy blindly, then I can trust this guy. And he was the CEO of the hospital. So I knew that he was a decision maker. And you can check my videos online, the bariatric surgery. It's graphic. They'll actually see the operation. You'll see me naked. You'll see blood. You'll see everything. So it's a medical video that is put up there. So I went through it and no regrets. And because I completed the surgery immediately after I came back, when we had sex, me and my wife, that is after some time. Immediately she conceived, she got pregnant, which was not happening before because my sperm count was low. So my body recuperated. I look much more younger. That's what most people say, because obviously I lost weight. Feel much more healthier, really, really healthy. Yes, it's a challenge with my energy levels. I have to still plan things out. Yes, it's a challenge what to eat, but however, no regrets. I'm really glad I went through it. So this is the reason why I chose surgery over exercise, because I couldn't do it forever. My family history and my priorities changed. My age has also caught up. I'm nearly in my 40s now. Need to focus more on my career and less on my exercise, because, end of the day, 21-inch arms is not going to pay my bills. 21-inch paycheck is going to pay my bills. And yes, I did it because, not that it was an easy way out. There are a lot of risks. Remember, a lot of risks, a lot of complications. It's not a joke. You can have some very serious side effects which can destroy your life. So just be careful of that. Don't take this decision lightly. Please take professional help and speak to people who have gone through the surgery so that you can make the right decision if surgery is meant for you. As just to let you know, I chose Silver Line Hospital, Dr. Tom Babu from Kochi in Kerala, who is the CEO of Silver Line Hospital. I got my surgery done through him. And I would say, professional guy. He made sure that he got the best hands. His friend Nandakishore Dukipati, who is a gold medalist surgeon of bariatric surgery, he performed the surgery and it was a success. So check out the videos. You just Google Loy Machedo bariatric surgery, you'll see the videos. So I hope this makes you understand why I opted for the surgery, why did I do it, and the plus minus. So if you got any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't like it, thumbs down. And yeah, if you'd like to get in touch with me or professional consultation, don't forget thinkpersonalbranding.com. So Loy from LoyMachedo.com, who's Loy Machedo and Think Personal Branding, saying goodbye for now. Take care.